list of 4 things. So I've got 4 things prepared.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I'm
All
ready.
right. So Stephanie is a psychologist, academic, and writer. You can find her most recent creative work in Breakfast, 20 Bellows, Jake, Bowl, Complete Sentence, and other fine literary outlets. She has co-published 2 community-focused lit zines, Invisible Friends and Uninvited. A Midwest native daughter, Stephanie was born and raised in St. Paul, Minnesota, where lengthy bios are frowned upon. Very nice. Very true. So did you live in St. Paul through high school, like your whole childhood?
Yeah, until I actually went to college in Wisconsin and then kind of lived back and forth between Wisconsin and Minnesota until I moved to Texas when I was like 24, I think. So yeah, and then now I'm back. So
Right. Nice. Yeah. Midwest is the best, maybe. I've only lived in the Midwest, so I can't speak on that, but
you're in Iowa, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I grew up too. I did live in Minneapolis for 3 years. But truthfully, I was trying to remember. I feel like I didn't go to St. Paul that much when I was there. I feel like I kind of, like, I honestly, I don't even think I rode the city bus there. Like, I think I just rode a bike, which is like, if people are listening, it's like the most bike-friendly cities in the world almost. Or that's what people say anyway. Or like I drove. I feel like I did not go to St. Paul very much.
You don't really need to. I mean, not to throw shade at any of my St. Paul people, but definitely when I moved back, I lived in Minneapolis. There's just like more going on.
More stuff to do. Yeah, great music there. A lot of well, I haven't actually been back. Well, it's kind of sensitive, but last time I was there was like 2018, and so I think a lot probably has changed for various reasons since I've been back. I want to go back eventually, but I just haven't. But yeah, a lot of great music. I had a great time there. Great people, some presses, Coffee House, Grey Wolf. Did you ever go to any of the presses or like the bookstores or anything like that around there?
No, I never, I wasn't really into, I mean, I've always been into like reading, obviously, and like journaling and writing for myself, but I didn't get into kind of making, publishing any of my work or like making zines or anything. I made a zine in college, but yeah, I kind of came around to it because I was a lot more into music, I think, when I was younger, and like writing songs and kind of adjacent to the music scene. And then that's kind of what got me into like writing more poetry and down the road, the gateway to independent publishing.
Definitely. Yeah. Did you go to First Ave a lot?
Yeah. Yes, definitely.
I saw a lot of good shows there. I think other play. What was the venue that was like attached to
7th Street Entry?
7th Street Entry, yeah. That was the cool one where all the secret shows were happening.
Yeah.
The lesser known ones. Yeah. Nice. So, yeah, I guess we could talk about the zines. You said, so was that when you were in undergrad, you said, or?
Yeah, it actually was my friend, Kyle Gunlock, who is a writer, still lives in Madison. And he, like, at that time, he had like sort of a little, I mean, it's a pretty generous stretch to say artist collective, but just like a gang of kids, and they kind of called themselves Jokertown, and they just wreak havoc across this small town in the Midwest, and then sometimes like kind of jam or make music or art or little movies or whatever. And so that was sort of part of it. They made the Jokertown zine, and I just wrote something for that and kind of, helped him copy it and all that. Like back when you would just cut out from a magazine and paste onto paper, and we literally, like, that's how he formatted it. He like cut the line, print it and then cut out the lines and then format it on the page.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was cool, back then. Like, I didn't really think about it that much after we made it. And then I was like cleaning out my house and I found like the original copy. And then I was like, oh, it's so cool that we made this. And it's like super cringy. Like all the writing is just like, definitely some like cancelable material in there. Like it was it was a different time, but then I was like, oh, it's so cool that we did this. I want to do this again. And I was also starting to write and like submit to other magazines during that time too, like do more poetry stuff. And I realized like I'd be submitting things and it's like if you submit online and it gets accepted to an online journal, and there's like very cool online journals out there, it just like wasn't as satisfying as getting that physical thing in the mail, And so it was like, okay, I'm going to do that. Like, why don't you just be that,
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I feel like in my mind, there's like a secret hope that people are more likely to read something in print too.
Yeah.
Like if it's on your phone, you could like quit reading it at any second. It seems like it's a ticking time on before you exit out of the browser and go look at something else.
Right.
So I feel like with print, it's definitely a different experience. Yeah, I'd be curious to see what that original zine looked like, though. I know that's kind of the origin story of zines was like with scanners and stuff like that, but kind of becomes something else maybe now. Maybe now it's more just like, yeah.
I mean, though, like one thing I've always wanted to ask you about, and actually one of my friends, Zach, who runs Test, was like, I was like, Zach, what should I talk about on the pod? And he was like, I want to know about how these zines are printed. And I was like, oh man, like my story of printing is like so terrible, like in terms of like how difficult it was. And I've always wanted to ask you about it because your zines are so beautiful. I mean, they're, beautifully printed, and you do all that yourself, right? Like that's handmade.
Yeah. Well, it started I guess it kind of started just like anything with you have like limitations of like your materials. And originally when I was printing them, I was using a printer that only printed one-sided. And so like if you know what a saddle stitch, for listeners, if you know what a saddle stitch is, you kind of need to print on both sides of the page. And so I would have to like print all on one side, and then I would flip the stack over, and then I'd have to format it to where it'd be all. It's like hard to explain. I don't know if it would be that interesting to like listen to. Like, just long story short, it resulted in a lot of like really bad printings at first, and so that was kind of the final product that I came up with. Even back then, when I printed my first book, even now when I look at those ones, it's like I can't believe I was doing it that way. That looks horrible,
Yeah. Well, it's hard, man. Like you think I was making fun of my old zine for like, I was like, look at how dumb we were. We cut up and glued onto pieces of paper. But, me and my co-editor, Alec Peterson, who's actually in Denver, when we started the idea, we were like, can't be that hard. Like, how long could it take? An hour? And it's like, those were just the last words. Like, it just took so long and so much wasted paper of trying to figure out how to orient it and like print it yourself, And so luckily we just were Googling, like I Googled like Denver zine print, and I came across Peter Miles Bergman, who was a professor in Denver of like independent publishing. So he was like, Alec, I found a professor of zines. And he agreed to print the zine for us. So it's not completely DIY, but then he actually moved here and bought Quimby's. So now he's the new owner of Quimby's and Prince in Chicago too.
Okay.
So it's like all come full circle. But yeah, so I did not DIY print my zine.
Well, you
But
tried it first, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like I still tried to make it like kind of community focused or the first one I told people like I just stapled it, not like didn't have it stitched because I wanted people to be able to like copy it on a copy machine, you know,
Mm-hmm.
to like be able to pass it out and reproduce it.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. And then the second one was string. The
Mhm.
uninvited was string. Yeah.
But you sew all your zines, right?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why. For some reason in my head, I got it where like staples. I don't know. I don't know why. I didn't want to do staples for some reason. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I feel like in my head, I thought something bad was going to happen if I used staples or something.
It's not the preferred choice. It's not good. Like
Yeah.
don't do it. I learned along the way. Yeah. But
But yeah,
yeah.
the sewing did take a long time to get better at too, and a lot of wasted string. And then my cat Luna is obsessed with string. So then there's the whole thing where like if you're trying to sew them, you have to almost shut her in another room, or like she'll come over and be staring at the string moving and be freaking out about it. So I guess that's a maybe she wants to sew them with me. I don't know, but
Yeah. It's just torture watching that string going back and forth.
Yeah. Did you have any plans for the future with any more print runs or anything?
So yeah, I mean, it kind of we had a lot of momentum in the beginning, and made two, and it was real like the idea behind it was supposed to be, um, really like sort of like everybody get involved type of thing, like really ground up. And I loved how the first one turned out, um, because we called it Invisible Friends because it was like lots of people that I just knew on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, like Alec and I met on Twitter just by, yeah. And like Zach too, of just like following things and things like that. And actually, did I meet you on Twitter?
I guess sort of, yeah. I met you and Zach the same day in real life, though.
Yeah.
At that Sabotka reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had known you before that, right? Like I submitted to your zine and then I was like, how did I find that magazine? It must have been on Twitter, right?
It must have been, yeah, because I do remember that on that it was like a release party and it had just come out, I think.
Yeah. That's funny because that's like in the days when Twitter still existed, like
I know.
before.
Well, I bailed on it before it was ever X or anything like that. I became too, it took up too much of my time. I don't know. I would just be checking it without even realizing it. And then I would delete the app because if you go on the web browser on your phone, it's slower, but it's still like, you're still checking it all the time. And I didn't really know that many people in real life on it.
Yeah.
Like on Instagram, people I follow, I probably have met more than the majority of them in real life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was a super late adopter. I got on it to find like lit mags.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I'm into writing now and I want to like find different places to submit. And I was only on it. I said I was going to go on it until I got to 69 followers. and then I would quit. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the place for. I think it was honestly maybe when COVID lockdown happened. Because if you look at a lot of those really big lit mags that are online, I bet you a lot of them started around 2020. I can't say that for certain, but I just feel like there was a time where everyone was in lockdown. All these magazines started showing up on Twitter, and then that was the time to do it. And then I think it kind of became a really large thing, and I was kind of like, tired of it. I don't know. You're
Yeah.
not on X anymore or anything like that?
No, I quit, but I mean, I got lucky because I met Alec, and then he just happened to live in Denver, which is just
Mm-hmm.
wild. And then through him, I met Zach. Because Alec and Zach went to college together for, I think, English or some sort of creative writing program. And so they kind of had a larger community of writers. And I had known a few people connected, to a few people. So when I put out the call for Invisible Friends, I like luckily got lots of like quote unquote like real writers to
Mm-hmm.
submit to this thing. But then I also just got like my friends, who aren't necessarily or like don't identify as writers or don't identify as creative or weren't sort of in that scene. So it was this cool mix of different people contributing. And so I really liked that it was, just kind of putting everybody together and being like really inclusive,
Mm-hmm.
And then that was also sort of with Uninvited as well, which was like really trying to get it out there, like different people of different ability levels and like creating a community through writing. But yeah, I haven't kind of to circle back to your original question. I was working on another project with Katie Seals, who's an artist, and she made a lot of the visual art for the zines um, called Cougar Chest. But we have kind of been on hiatus just with like the world being crazy, and I moved to Chicago and all that stuff. So still on the back burner, but kind of like reworking that one.
Nice. Yeah, I remember you talking about that on your story. I don't know if it had come out yet. But yeah, that first Invisible Friends, I think there were a lot of people from Chicago in that one, or who were living in Chicago at the least. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't remember.
Tons, and it's like it's crazy because then I moved here,
Right. Yeah.
which is like independent of that, so it was very lucky. But I got to know like lots of really cool writers, and just like different styles.
Yeah. There's definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I remember that magazine. I feel like because the way that you set it up, in that one, I don't think in the second one, but the first one, it wasn't like one writer at a time. It was like, or for example, typically from what I've seen, the majority of magazines will have like the writer has their 3 poems or their short story or whatever. It's all in a row. But that one, it was
Mhm.
like not in a row at all. It was like one poet and then an artist, and then you want to see him again for like 10 pages or something.
Yeah,
That was
he's like
weird. That was
forcing you to
exciting.
read other people's stuff to get to
Yeah,
your stuff.
exactly. Yeah, I think that maybe part of it, I knew those people too, like some of them, not
Mhm.
everyone. But for some reason, I really liked that. Just the experience of kind of already having read some of the people or met some of the people. It was like you'd flip it and then you'd see who's next, and then I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But was there a lot of thought put into that, or was it just you decided between doing it one way or the other way, or?
I don't want to like call him out or anything, but I do feel like that's Alex's favorite part
Yes.
is ordering them. So like spending time on ordering them, putting them. So yeah, I will say like he was definitely super into that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think there was a huge reaction to of in the first zine. Um, my good friend Matt Conway is an artist in New York City, and he does male nudes. And just like the reaction, like I have seen his work like so much, like
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really just very like I don't even really feel like I'm looking at a dick. I mean, I know I am, but like it's just that's his work and his art, and so I wasn't really thinking that would like have a big reaction, but like that was the first thing everyone was like, "Oh my god, like there's so many dicks in this." Like,
I don't think
because
I would. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry. No, no.
Well, I don't think I would have had a reaction to it if one of the dicks wasn't pointing right at my name.
That's an honor. I feel like we like if your work goes next to like some visual art,
Yeah.
that means that it's like we really wanted it to have a picture by it.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, Yeah, those were. I remember those being very striking, to say the least.
Yeah.
I think it's in my storage unit, but I should have. I have uninvited upstairs. I wish I could look at it again right now. But is there anything? Maybe you don't want to say this, but is there anything there's like the first time you kind of wish you had done it differently, or you changed the second time around, or anything like that besides staples?
Oh yeah. Well, the first time we did it, I don't know how you do yours, but like we were like total newbies, you know? So we just did everything in Microsoft Word. Like
Mm-hmm.
we tried to format everything in Microsoft Word and print in Microsoft Word. And it was an insane challenge. Um, and so then when I gave it to Miles, the printer, he was like, I don't know like what to do with this, you know? So we ended up having to do like lots of different workarounds to print it. And then he was like, you should try using InDesign. And so I learned a little bit of InDesign, and that's how I did it for the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, you know, one, I think little things like that helps. But then also, I think what worked in those is that the themes were really broad, and you can kind of interpret it as you will. And so I like that. Like I'd always get all the submissions and read them, and then I'd write like sort of the letter of what it was supposed to be about, and then the theme kind of like manifested from what we got. Obviously, we chose the title, right? But it was sort of like really loose parameters. So I think that's helpful. And then also, I think I would do them in color, and I would try to get more visual. It's so hard to get visual art, but I just love having like, like I said, like we wanted to have an image to go with everybody's piece, writing and visual work. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Well, I'm not sure. It's funny you said though about Word, because I still use Word.
Wow, really?
I feel like it was such a hassle, but now I've gotten better at it where I don't have as much trouble. The only annoying thing is putting the page numbers in, because for me, if you do the two columns, you have to do page numbers in text boxes every page, and then you have to get them all in order and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, eventually I'm probably going to want to do glue binding.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I keep publishing full length or like single writers in a book, or a novel. Maybe someday I'll want to figure out how to do glue binding. Yeah, I don't know. I saw some magazine recently. They sold their magazine in both. You could buy it in black and white for like $12, or in color ink for like 16 or something. Like they had both options.
Yeah.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that it would encourage more artists, like visual artists, to contribute work, because that's the big parameter is like, well, you kind of have to do a line drawing or something that you can print easily in black and white. And it's hard to do photography and other things like that. So, yeah. But Nate, like, you're so prolific. Like, I can't believe you're like, oh, I'm going to do glue binding now. And you just are very like what made you, it seems to me that you do everything like, from soup to nuts. Like you like print it all, you're a writer, and you like curate it all. Like, I guess, is there something behind that, or are you just like a hustler?
Well, thanks. I don't know. I think it kind of started just seeing if I could do it, like the book printing. And then a lot of what I've done has just come from limitations of like, this is what printer I have, and this is what I can do with these materials. But I think ultimately my goal, although I love all the zines I've put out, magazines I've put out and stuff, I think the goal ultimately is always to lead towards something that's like you can have it in like a bookstore.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm really there yet. Like I can have it on like consignment shops.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried like I feel like I'm straying away from your original question. But I've tried like direct printing stuff. You know, you can use certain services that they print one book whenever you get an order. And so that's the option a lot of people use. But now that I've used it, I feel like I kind of, I don't know, it seems kind of lazy or something.
Yeah.
And I wonder if I mean, we're even talking about it now. Like people do have a passion for like print and for like how books actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of something that I would like to continue to engage in and just figure out how to keep improving or something. I don't know.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like taking, like merging two art forms. Because so many people, like in the kind of lit world, certainly when Alec and I started out, you know, we're like, we're a press, but we weren't, we were just collecting, we were curating it, you
Yeah.
know, but it's like, once you start to get into the physical making of it, that takes you into like a different branch of art.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really cool too, because we as writers, we kind of have the circles that we're in, or the events we tend to do, or, um, you know, whatever. But then like, there's all this different world of like people who are super into printing and making the book and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
they used to drive me crazy. And you guys actually have print stuff, but like there were so many online journals that they called themselves a press, and it was all online. It's like
Yeah.
it's not a press then. Like
Yeah.
it's an
Right.
online website. That's dope.
Yeah.
But
I do think like, you know, the kind of to your first question of like why do we print something? Um, it's like now too with the proliferation of AI and everything, like it's even more important to have something be DIY. Like I almost feel like now like a zine or like a handmade, I don't know if you identify with like your work as like is it like a, you know, because your stuff is very professional, right? Even though you're technically DIY, you know, it's like next level. So I don't know if you call it a magazine or call it a zine, but either way, I feel like those things are like really precious because they're, you know, they're real. And I think like we're just starting to get into this world where like there's just going to be a lot of garbage, like even more garbage on the internet, which is very hard to imagine now because there's so much garbage. But yeah, so I have a lot of respect for people who kind of like keep it really authentic in that way.
yeah, how do you see like because we were talking about AI and how art and human art is kind of basically competing with
Yeah.
that now. So like print will be a big deal. How do you think that it's going to change how people polish art or like how they just create art in general?
I don't know. I it's hard to say because I'm sort of like a um you know, I'm like self-trained and I'm not really in like any scene. I didn't go to art school or I don't have an MFA or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I sort of feel like, well, it's probably the last use case for AI. Like, certainly, I think it will be used to replace like commercialized art. So things like, you know, graphic design or website design or logos, stuff like that, you know, like they're just because they don't care. It's just that's not really art, right? It's like decorations.
Mm-hmm.
So like I could see it for that. Um, but I don't know, like, you know, when I look in my field, it's like I sort of think like all different domains, all it's gonna do is sort of like it can't think for itself. And so it's sort of pushing more domains to become like art. Like your job is the designer of whatever you're doing, right? So like in my day job, I'm a research psychologist, and it can do a lot of things, right? Like what the writing that I do at work is like writing a book report.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the writing that we do. So it can you know, something really formulaic, it can write that and it will probably replace that type of writing. But it can't design a study and it can't have a new idea and it can't like actually synthesize findings. And so I think that's sort of like the same for every job. It's just like the, kind of like really rote minutia will be done by a computer. Like everything that can be done by a computer will be, but there's like everything valuable like can't really be, like,
Yeah.
and so like in art there's just less of that. There's just less bullshit for the computer to do in the first place.
Yeah. I think maybe the problem there, like another conversation, is that like a lot of artists who are making money doing art are not doing it because it's their passion. They're doing the things that people are paying them to do. For example, like graphic design or even animation, and a lot of artists make a living doing that. And now it's like people don't need to pay to do that anymore, and so it's kind of like a problem. But
totally.
But yeah, I think you're right, and it does affect other. Well, like you just said, you don't really need to hire an editor anymore for work, unless it's like an editor for a creative reason, like giving advice on a story or a character. If it's just to make your sentences better, a computer can do it.
Right. But to bring it back to like the DFW talk, where it was like, what would a computer have done to that guy's writing?
Yeah.
Like, like his style was like so, so I think there is like room for art still in some of those things that hopefully won't be lost.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying.
We could talk about David Foster, but I was just going to say, just because we were talking about it, one interesting thing for me that was happening kind of at the peak of AI, or not peak of it, but when it was starting to be talked about a lot. I remember, I don't know if you pay attention to like rap music, but obviously there was that huge beef between Kendrick and Drake. And when that was happening, people kept on making fake songs that were pretending to be them, and then people couldn't figure out even if it was AI. Like people released songs saying it was Kendrick. This is Kendrick's drop, but it wasn't him. It was just they were using AI to make his voice. And I was always wondering, like when that was all going down, like those dudes were also competing with everybody else that were like they had to make it sound so themselves in the songs that it was undeniably them and not AI. It was kind of something like just the humanness of it has to come out so much more as opposed to a song that's obviously just the voice has been made to have the little details of what we're familiar with of that artist's voice. I don't know if that made sense, but
yeah, like it's sort of forcing us to make something more authentic.
Right.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, for better, for worse, right? Like what I was saying before about like it's, making you become driving more jobs towards being the artist. Well, unfortunately, you just need less people to do that stuff. And so it does replace like a lot of the human jobs. And it would be fine if we lived in a society where we like cared about people and like made sure everybody was okay, right? Then it's great in like utopia. But yeah, that's a problem. But like in terms of like it's there's something like really uniquely human about the best stuff. Like that's what it is. It's like truly a new idea. And when you've written something bad, at least for me, when it just kind of sounds like something recycled or like it's not saying anything new,
Yeah, because it's drawing from everything that's already been posted or popular.
Right.
So yeah, well, that's the interesting thing you brought up, though. So you think, for example, David Foster Wallace, or sort of more, would you call him avant-garde?
I think at the time, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So you think that maybe the solution then is to write really well in a way that's incorrect, perhaps, or something like that. Like,
I mean, I don't know. He has like, I think he has such a voice,
mm-hmm.
and this kind of came up too because Tori posted like, what are your influences to, and a bunch of people like responded. And that was really fun, like writers that influenced you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think David Foster Wallace, like I don't write anything like that guy. I would never compare myself to him ever, but he does have an extremely unique voice. And I think like something I learned early on was like write like you speak, you know? Mm-hmm. He was one of the first writers I ever read that used like intentionally as a tone modifier, you know? And so I do think that for, you know, millennial or elder millennial culture or whatever, it does mean something different to say, to use like in the sentence versus taking it out, or things like text speak and text culture. Like we sort of have our own dialect that's text for like digital natives. It means something different to put a period at the end of a text than not put a period at the end of the text. It means something different to just send K versus okay, or you know, smiley face, or the emojis mean something different. And so I think like it's just an example of like using language in a way that's like kind of, I don't know, just everyday language to like convey a message. And like that might have a lot of errors, or it's just not, if you put it through an AI, it would just completely sanitize it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something I really like about your writing. Like the first time you submitted to the zine, I was like, man, this is such a good voice. Like it's so, you have a very unique, at least in the poems I read, I'm not familiar with the whole Hoyle canon, but like I love how, you know, you use caps in your work for certain things, and like combine that with using your own name. Just like it's just like a very distinct like Nate Hoyle poem, you know. So yeah, I think that's just like one really cool part of like the diversity of art, you know.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you. Yeah, I don't know what to say. That was nice. So do you think that because it's interesting, it sounded like when you were talking about David Foster Wallace, like the vernacular, or using like, or using I don't know, just uncommonly traditionally high literature, because I feel like his books are still like the syntax of them, and like the actual what he's doing with his sentences are almost the opposite of like text speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess there wasn't really texting when he wrote the book.
No, but it's still like, it's definitely different from text, but it's like sort of that like quotidian language, like it's conversational, or like a lot of times he's like criticized for having really run-on sentences. But I also think, you know, in reading like Infinite Jest, which is like his book I'm the most familiar with, you know, a lot of it is about like addiction, or a lot of those, I'll notice it'll come up in parts about like addiction to marijuana, and like the experience of being high in your mind is like a constant run-on sentence, right? Like he just has like good, it feels like sort of intentional in some ways. But yeah, it's really interesting because in his second book, or not, his follow-up to Infinite Jest that wasn't finished was just like put together by an editor. And so it's interesting to like look at that of, he had famously had like battles with editors of like how much of this is my voice,
Mhm.
and intentional, and then how much of it is like we just need to make this legible to an audience, right? And like I think everybody needs to kind of have that back and forth. Um, but yeah, in the second book, gosh, why can't I think of the name of it? But it's supposed to be about boredom, and it was put together, The Pale King, put together by his editor, and you can kind of tell that he didn't, it doesn't have the same sort of like cohesion. So like even though the first book is just all over the place and doesn't have a lot of cohesion, um, it's still of like his own making and his own, like it's very intentional.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but two people who are very into David Foster Wallace, who I know, said they like that. I guess it's his
The Pale
third.
King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they like that one more than Infinite Jest. Two people who are like huge fans of him said they like that one more.
I
Uh,
liked it a lot too. I think
yeah,
yeah,
I
they're
tried.
kind of like two sides of the same coin. Yeah. Go
You
ahead.
think
Sorry.
you think they're an extension of one and the other? Yeah.
I think like someone maybe told me that before I read it, that like Infinite Jest is about entertainment and The Pale King is about boredom.
Mm.
Um, and like I'm a psychologist, so I think about things like, neurotransmitters. So I'm like, okay, this book is about dopamine. And then this book is sort of like the lack of dopamine, or like forcing yourself to pay attention when you aren't getting like instant dopamine hits. Um, but maybe that's just me, and I'm kind of projecting that.
Yeah, I mean that's what reading is, right? But I was gonna say I tried reading Infinite Jest for literally the third time when we were talking about doing this podcast. I was like, you know what, this is an excuse to do it because I've read like the first 50 pages literally like three times, and
Yeah.
then I don't know, I just can't. I'm gonna finish it eventually, but I thought this was gonna be my motivation to get zooming through it. I feel like I can like kind of talk about it, but I would just be like talking over you who have read it three times or whatever. So
No, please. Like, I'd love to hear. I mean, I'm not an evangelizer of it. Like, I
yeah,
know he's a super controversial character or whatever. Like, I would never say, like, someone has to read this book.
no,
Because I would
yeah,
say, like, the first 100 pages are tough.
yeah.
But then once you get into it, then you're, like, smooth sailing. But yeah, I'd love to, yeah, please fire away.
Well, I mean, I do enjoy it. I guess this is the easy question, but how would you describe like the footnotes to people who haven't? Because I feel like just my like dumb 50-page interpretation of it. I feel like when you first think about footnotes, you're like, oh, they're just footnotes, but he kind of uses them like they're almost an extension of the sentence more than like saying this is details about the number that this is next to. Or how would you
Yeah.
describe it in the whole 1,000 pages instead of just the 50?
I mean, I think, okay, so full disclosure, and this is like a little embarrassing, but like I have read the book 3 times. I have I have physically read it, doing the kind of like, back and forth. Like I had the big copy that weighed like 3 pounds, and I actually
Mm-hmm.
like ripped it in half. Like once I got to the halfway point, so I could like carry around a lighter half.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that I feel like it's so dense that I definitely like on the first reading, like you're just kind of getting like snippets of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
the best advice I've ever heard is I have a friend of a friend who actually like teaches a class on David Foster Wallace at UT Austin. And so this is hearsay, but apparently the best way to read Infinite Jest is to just allow it to wash over you.
Mm-hmm.
And so not try to follow every single thread, but just like take it for what it is. And like, if you get a little, like, just the enjoyment of reading whatever section of plot you're reading and not trying to like follow it down.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like still the reason I read it so many times The first time physically reading it. The second two times I actually listened to it, like on audiobook, is just because you can kind of tune out. Like I learn something new about it every time and I still don't like fully get it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's entertaining and it's just like the pieces of the plot are really good. And that's what the footnotes too, to prepare for this. Cause I was like, oh, are we going to talk about David Foster Wallace? It's been a while. All I did was listen to the footnotes version, like the footnotes section of the audiobook. And it just went through like the footnotes. It was like, this is an insane way to prepare for a podcast or read because I didn't have the like book to refer back to.
Yeah.
But it was kind of great because I know it so well that I'm like, oh, they must be talking about this. I knew it enough to get like something out of it. And it's just funny. So I think like if you go in with lowered expectations, which is hard because it's like, over 1,000-page book, you have pretty high expectations. But like if you go in, you're going to get a lot. It's just a really rich like world. And you can get a lot of like different things out of it.
Yeah. That's so. I wonder if you're the first person to ever just read the footnotes.
I know, right?
That's like, I mean, it's like, it probably, I'm telling you, like you don't already know, but it probably, I could see that being just as reflective.
Yeah.
Like it's like quizzing yourself, kind of like, oh, this part was for this part of the book.
Totally. And like, it's so great. He's so funny. Like, there's one footnote in there that is just a list of movie titles, like fake movie titles. And it's just hilarious. Like it'll be like, my favorite one is Blood Sister, One Tough Nun. And it's just like a description of like different movies, like fake movies that they make. So yeah, if you have the patience for it, you can get like gems.
Yeah, I need to. I'll invite you back on the podcast when I finish it in a month. No.
No pressure. Nobody has to read it. It's just I feel like it gets such a bad rap these days though. Like kind of anything that becomes like really highly acclaimed or like really popular, then it gets that backlash where it's like, oh no, it's overrated or whatever. But then sometimes I feel like the pendulum swings back the other way. It's like, maybe it's not the best book ever written, but it's pretty entertaining, so.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who make fun of David Foster Wallace have never read him, too.
Right.
It's just like they show a picture of him in a bandana and then he's supposed to be a giant asshole for only that reason. I know people, he's controversial, but I feel like in the literary world, he's like an asshole literally for his bandana.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. I don't know.
And we read lots of assholes, so.
Did you have any fan questions? Questions from all?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't one of them. Yeah.
Sorry, the fan.
You don't have to.
I didn't write them down, so I'm sorry if anybody listens to this and asked a question. I don't think I would call them fans.
I know.
My generous friends who I beg for questions, right? Like. I literally, it's like when I beg people to submit to my zine, and then I act like I'm all high and mighty, the selective editor, and I'm like, hey, please send me something. But yeah, let's see. I don't know. I think we touched on it. I know Brian wanted to hear about David Foster Wallace. He asked, what would David Foster Wallace think about like the current modern times, like the world that we're living in, the state of the world. Yeah. And I mean, it's hard to know. He predicted a lot, like not exactly, but things like, he predicted like people just being obsessed with screens and addicted to screens and stuff like that. But difficult to know what any of us think about this modern world.
Yeah, he would probably have a hard time now with the internet and stuff, honestly.
Yeah.
Who knows if he would even still be like writing.
Yeah.
He had like problems with like television even.
Right.
Like having like the internet and cell phones and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Infinite Jest is about addiction, and part of it is like a television addiction or addiction to entertainment. So, yeah, I think Brian's question was more about Trump specifically.
Yeah,
but I don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah, I think I saw that on your story. I was thinking he probably has talked to. I mean, Donald Trump's been Donald Trump for a long time, so he probably even said something about him when he was alive.
Yeah.
There's probably something out there. David Foster Wallace talking about Trump.
Yeah.
I don't. I imagine he would not want him as the president, like a reality star. Just combine combine whatever he said about like Ronald Reagan,
right?
With, like whatever he said about Donald Trump already,
right?
Or something. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he would have taken a full swing the other way.
I know. And we would have hated to see that. So maybe it's just better this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? I think we had, one of them from James, the editor of 20 Bellows in Denver. Shout out to 20 Bellows. Asked, talk about reading books in coffee shops and bars to seem smarter than other people. And I'm ashamed to say that actually, for as much as I read, I mostly listen to audiobooks these days. Which is crazy because I just talked about how important printing was for, like 45 minutes, but it's just like I find I can get through them so much faster.
Yeah. I mean, if you have like you can listen to audiobooks while you're driving. Like you can't read while you're driving. But for the bar thing, I can't, I don't know why, I can't really read in public that well. Like I get distracted. If I'm at like a busy like bar or something, there's no way I'm going to be reading a chapter. Like I'm going to way too, all the sounds and people running around. I'm not going to be able to focus on full pages. So.
Yeah. I don't think, I think the only time I've ever done that is like when I was in Europe and I just was alone and didn't have like other friends. I didn't have any friends or anything else to do, but I wanted to be out in public, and so you're like reading performatively, like hoping someone approaches you and chats with you.
Yeah. I guess if you're trying to get off of social media or something, or trying to avoid your phone, then it'd be nice to have perhaps a magazine with pictures.
Yes. Perhaps a breakfast magazine. Please click the link and buy one now.
I need to get more art in it, like you already mentioned, with your endeavors. But I feel like the last few I've put out have been all words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like our community. It's really hard to find, visual artists who want to, like, I feel like a lot of people who can draw like that, they're making their own zine that's all art, like you go into Quimby's and like there's tons of just kind of image-based zines and magazines or comics, but sometimes I think like the power of those two things combined could be really, really cool. It's like getting people who really specialize in writing and people who really specialize in art to kind of work together more. That'd be a cool idea.
Yeah. Have you been following that Chicago magazine Gab? Did you ever see them?
No, I saw something about that on the internet, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a real magazine with like articles and photography and stuff. They have events and stuff. I'm not obviously in Chicago right now, but I feel like they're going to be doing cool things. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully there's more of that going on.
Yeah.
In the world.
Okay, I have a final question for you.
Okay.
Which is because you were like, they're a real magazine. So like what makes, what's the difference between a real magazine and like a And I guess a zine or a not real magazine.
Lack of better descriptive words, I think, was my problem. But I was thinking like comparative to. Now I can't think of any magazines like comparative to like GQ or something.
Okay.
Like a magazine that's got pictures and columns and
Glossy.
glossy and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Theirs was more of like a newsprint material, but yeah, I don't know. I guess you caught me there.
I mean, I wasn't trying to, I'm honestly curious, like what makes, cause like you know, I think about my zine, like it was really low. I mean, it was very DIY, very like minimalistic, you know, so I'd be like, that's a zine, or like the original zine we made, like that's a zine. Um, but then you start to get like really high production value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like all the secret restaurant stuff is very like beautifully made. I mean, it's still handmade, but it's like really high fidelity stuff. But would you say it's just the process of like making it like being DIY is makes it a zine?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't really see them as super high end, and I still use like a regular printer, just like a desk printer.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe just the fact that it's like handmade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then yeah, maybe a zine is more like DIY, like you said, and then a magazine, in my mind, is more like professionally printed.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of people who will hear that and be mad, though.
I know. Well, we're working it out. We're learning here on the pod.
Yeah.
Because I think about like Raging Possums, Raging Possums print.
No, I never seen it.
Oh, okay. But they have like a larger, like some of the things are just like these like visual signifiers that I'm like, oh, it's a magazine, just because it's like you said, like glossy and like larger, you know? So I like tend to associate that with a magazine, and then I'm like, zines are little, you know, and they're like on big
you said it. I was thinking it. You put it into words. Yeah, they're like smaller.
Yeah.
And then a newspaper is like folded weird pages. A review is like a book, right? Or a review or a journal.
Oh, a journal.
Yeah.
See, like that takes me, when I think journal, I think like academic journal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I've never actually even seen any of those in print.
Yeah.
Probably from the like 80s and 90s. I'm sure they have some.
Sorry, that's my dogs. Okay. Yeah. I think it was the mailman. I'll stop in a second. All right, sorry about that.
No worries.
Did you want to have your I'm supposed to say like so what do you got going on? What would you like to share with the listeners?
Thanks for asking, Nate. I would like to plug Emma Bergman's MFA thesis show, which is at the SAIC galleries until July 27th. And I was lucky enough to be able to contribute a very, very small part to that installation. It's called the Department of Eschatology. It's about the end of the world. It's very like surreal and cool. And if you can believe it, I like did some data analysis for it, which is not something I ever thought I would be doing for an art show, but it actually like turned out really cool. And yeah, go see their work. And then also wanted to plug, like I mentioned at the beginning, so Peter Miles Bergman, who printed my zine and now owns Quimby's. Also, Quimby's has a printing arm now, so they print zines. So if you want to get stuff printed, that is now not only the place that you can like consign your stuff, but also they do help with that for people who want to make their own projects.
Nice. I think that was a smart move.
Yeah.
Where did you say where the first one was? Where the
It's at
gallery?
the SAIC galleries, so
Okay.
it's actually downtown. Yeah, this is sorry. I know I'm like I don't know how much of your listenership is in Chicago land area, but
Well, it's
if
about
you are
25 people. More people
you're
are probably going to listen to it if you share it. So,
okay, yeah. Well, yeah, it's downtown Chicago, and yeah, I will promote this around too, and hopefully we can get like 10 more people to listen to it.
all right. Okay, cool. Well,
Cool.
thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you
being
so
my
much.
inaugural guest on the Secret Restaurant podcast, and I'll let you know whether I just finish the footnotes and read through those, or if I finish all of Infinite Jest. Either way. All right.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, Nate. Thank you
Yep.
so much for having me.
Of
I'll talk
course.
to you later.
Have a good week.
You too. Bye.